On her wedding night, she discovered her husband was not human. The princess had always believed her life would belong to the kingdom, before it ever belonged to herself. From childhood, she was taught how to smile when tired, how to bow when angry, and how to accept decisions. So when her parents told her she was to be married, she did not ask if she loved the man, she only asked when. Her name was Princess Amaris, the only daughter of King Halvarin and Queen Sa. The kingdom was strong, but fear lived quietly within its walls. For years, villages on the eastern border had suffered strange attacks and malls torn apart. Guards found dead under the light of the full moon, and forests left scarred, as if something unnatural roamed them. The court whispered of curses and monsters, but the king silenced all rumors. Then a nobleman arrived from the east. His name was Lord Kelric. He was handsome in a way that felt unreal tall, sharp-featured, dark-haired, with calm silver eyes, and a voice that never rose in anger. He carried himself like a man who knew pain but refused to show it. He brought gold, land, and most importantly, protection. He promised that if the princess married him, the eastern lands would fall under royal control, and the attacks would stop. The king accepted without hesitation. The queen smiled. The princess obeyed. Amaris cried many nights. She did not want to marry a man she did not know, but she had not choice. She had to obey her parents because of the kingdom rules. Amaris met Kelric only 3 times before the wedding. He was polite, distant, and respectful. He never touched her hand for too long, never looked at her in a way that made her uncomfortable. If anything, he seemed afraid of her. On the night before the wedding, Amaris overheard him arguing with her father, his voice low and desperate. "She must never follow me at night," Kelric said. "Promise me that." The king laughed. "All husbands need privacy." Kelric did not laugh. The wedding was grand. Bells rang, flowers covered the palace halls, and the people cheered. For a union they believed would bring peace. Amaris wore a crown heavier than her thoughts. Kelric stood beside her, flawless and calm, though his hands trembled when the moon began to rise. That night, in their shared chamber, Kelric spoke his first truth. On certain nights, he said quietly, "You must lock your door and stay inside until morning. No matter what you hear." Amaris frowned. "Why?" "Because if you see me then," he replied, "you will never look at me the same way again." She thought it was fear, or trauma, or superstition. She agreed. The first full moon came quickly. Kelric left before sunset, his face pale, his jaw tight. From the palace walls, Amaris heard screams echo from the distant forest deep, animalistic, filled with rage and pain. Guards were sent. Some never returned. By dawn, Kelric came back wounded, exhausted, and silent. Amaris questioned him. He gave no answers. The second full moon was worse. This time, Amaris followed him. She wrapped herself in a cloak and slipped into the forest as the moon rose high and cruel. She heard bones breaking and flesh tearing, a scream that began human and ended monstrous. She watched from behind a tree as her husband's body twisted violently, growing taller, broader, darker. His hands became claws. His face stretched into something inhuman. His eyes burned like fire. The man she married vanished. A monster stood in his place. Amaris covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. A branch snapped. The monster turned. For a moment, death stood inches from her. Then the monster spoke. Amaris had growled, voice broken and trembling. "Run." She didn't. She stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. "You're my husband," she whispered. "What are you?" Kelric collapsed to his knees, claws digging into the earth. He told her the truth between sobs and roars. His bloodline had been cursed generations ago, to guard a sealed evil buried beneath the eastern lands. By day, he was human. By night of the full moon, he became the monster bound to protect the seal. If he ever lost control completely, the evil would awaken and destroy the kingdom. Her parents had known. They had married her to him not for alliance, but as a living chain. The curse weakened when Kelric loved. A wife would keep the monster loyal, obedient, controlled. Amaris realized then she had been traded like a spell component. She hated her parents. She hated the curse. But when she looked at Kelric, shaking, bleeding, begging her to kill him, before he killed others, she chose him. Every full moon after that, Amaris stayed. She stood at the forest's edge, calling his name, reminding him of who he was. Sometimes he hurt her. Sometimes he nearly lost himself, but he never attacked her, never forgot her voice. The court discovered the truth eventually. They demanded Kelric's execution. Amaris stood before them, crown on her head, blood still on her dress. "If you kill him," she said, "you doom yourselves." On the final full moon, the curse tried to consume him completely. The monster roared louder than ever. The seal beneath the earth cracked. Kelric begged Amaris to end his life. Instead, she stepped beneath the full moon. wrapped her arms around the monster, and spoke the words that shattered the curse's control. You were forced into this, just like me, and I choose you not because you are safe, but because you are mine. The curse did not vanish, but it bowed. From that night on, Kelric remained a monster under the full moon, but never mindless, never cruel. He ruled the darkness instead of being ruled by it, and Amaris ruled beside him, not as a sacrifice, but as a queen who refused to be afraid. And the kingdom finally learned, the real monsters were never the ones cursed by magic, they were the ones who used love as a weapon.